Hello. Welcome to True Hoop with me, Jarod, Hector, and Coach David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
I am well, thank you.
And with my countdown man being a side producer over here, Henry Abbott. How are you?
We're such babies. It's the dumbest kind of humor.
Listen, anytime you get people behind microphones and cameras, people just start. It's a thing, though, right, Henry? I'm sure you read about this, right? Where, like, at least I know, as from a voice actor, right? And like you're trying to do different things. Your coaches will tell you, okay, I know the microphone's on, but I don't want you to be voice actor guy right now. I need you to be yourself, right? But we have this thing where it's like, oh, mic, camera, let me now become whatever I'm supposed to become.
We're all wearing suits in the 1950s, and like on some soundstage, right? Music of Omaha, or whatever. Right? Like...
Exactly. That's exactly how it is. It's very strange. Anyway, last night, Game 3 of the NBA Finals, won by the Denver Nuggets, 109-94. They have regained home court advantage. They're up 2-1 in these NBA Finals, looking much different than they did in Game 2 at home. I thought it'd be great to just start out with sort of each of us just giving quickly what our one top-line takeaway was from that game. Well, let's start with you, Henry. What was the one thing for you that stood out from last night's game?
So I think everyone who knows David has like some kind of deep-seated insecurity that we don't watch basketball as intelligently as we should, right? And so one of my I'm decades into having this, and so one of the ways I like to sort of burrow through is just watch one player. And for a lot of the series, I'm watching Bam. I feel like you can see a lot of this series happen through watching Bam, which is he's becoming like my favorite player in the NBA. It's so fun to watch. He does so much stuff, but he's much more fun to watch on defense when he's guarding an athlete, right? His length, his hands, his ability to move laterally, his kind of Al Horford stuff, right? Like he's just amazing at that. He has a very high likelihood of success to my eye when he's switched on to someone smaller. But he's spending most of this series standing still with Nikola Jokic's like butt in his chest, right? And I feel like he's, to his credit, he's fantastic at that.
Doing as well as he can.
Part of me is like, man, I would be interested to know what Eric Spoelstra's other options are, right? Like, so that you can put Bam out where he can use his ability to move a little more.
Mm-hmm. We can discuss that.
Well, you knew that was coming, right? I believe Jeff Van Gundy in the broadcast said, they talk about guys with offensive bags. Bam's got a defensive bag. And I was like, oh, Jeff, you often don't say, but that was a good one. I like that. Yeah. Defensive bag. Very good.
Often isn't the right word. Almost always don't say something that's value.
Well, I'll let you kill Jeff Van Gundy. David, what stood out to you? Top thing.
The Jokic-Murray combination. I mean, I read today, or maybe I heard today, that there's been 5 30-20-10 games in finals history. Jokic has 3 of them. Mm-hmm. Not finals history, playoff history. Mm-hmm. And the other ones were Kareem and Wilt.
Pretty good company.
Yeah, but who are those guys?
He did it in the finals, and Murray was tremendous in the first half, which Denver was not. Denver's in a great start. New to Miami, but Denver definitely have a great start, and Murray got them rolling. He was their best player early on. And then Jokic defensively has been a problem. He has been a thorn to Jimmy Butler this whole series, this 3 games. Jimmy's not comfortable scoring. He's even talked about it in the post-game presser. Like, he doesn't understand why people don't recognize what Jokic can do. Meanwhile, the Lakers had no problem scoring inside a lot against him, but Jimmy can't. So what world is there going to be when there are 2 30 and 10 and 10 guys? In one case, Jokic had 20 rebounds because Murray did too. Murray had 30, 10, and 10. Mm-hmm. And then Jimmy doesn't play great. It almost doesn't matter what Bam does. Mm-hmm. When the superstars are that good and the other sides are just fine, that it's not going to be a competitive game. And it wasn't a competitive game. This game was over mid-third quarter.
Do you feel like David's one thing was 7 things?
Well, so that's the thing, Henry. So
I'm grouping the stars. I'm chunking. It's called chunking. I'm chunking the stars together. Their narrative was the stars.
So David's point was stars. Your point was Bam, who is a star. But you're right, Henry. You started off by saying anybody who knows David, you have this deep-seated insecurity about how you watch basketball, right? So it's
sorry.
I have no idea. But he's not really sorry.
I know.
But the thing is, and I say this all the time, when I watch now, David's on my shoulder telling me, nope, Jarod, that's not what you're supposed to be looking at. Look at this thing. And I'm like, fucking hey, David, but I can't look at everything at once. I'm trying to. And so one of the things and I always hear Davidisms in my head. One is the hardest thing to do in the NBA is score over length. And Nikola Jokic, while not a Bam level defender, he's fucking 7 feet tall and a huge person. So even if he just stands there, well, it's really hard to score over somebody that big. So that's a problem, right?
And Gordon's 6'10".
Right. Size matters, right? So that with a game where the rim is 10 feet above the ground, yeah, you're 7 foot tall, advantage you. So that's a huge point there, David, about Jokic's defensive abilities. For me, we often talk about X's and O's and adjustments or whatever. Again, another Davidism in my ear. Sometimes you got to just play harder and better. Well, that was it for me. Rebounding. Yeah. The Nuggets just played harder. They were
smarter too. More disciplined.
Stuck to what the plan was, and they just played harder. And one of those things is it shows up in rebounds. They crushed them on the boards because they're also bigger. But Miami is a gritty, physical team, right? That's their identity. And so when they get beat in that way, like they did, I was like, oh, I don't know. You guys starting to second guess? I don't think they are second guessing themselves, but it's like, shit, this is what we do. We beat your ass physically on the boards and do all that. And you're doing that to us? I don't know. So that's what stood out to me.
Oh, I almost said that because I thought that was a big part of what Denver's story was, is it wouldn't have mattered if the Stars don't play great. If they didn't execute and play hard and all of that, they still might have won because the Stars was just so superb. But the fact that they did both meant it was, game over. It just wasn't a competitive game. Miami has had moments like this. We know this. Mm-hmm. And that their paint finishes were bad. Yeah. They were rushed. Strus had a baseline drive early on that was just blown because I think Denver just competed better and had that size at the inside. Now, there's some adjustments both teams can make. I actually like Denver's next adjustment, I think, better than what I think Miami can do. But they're the better team. We've said this. We said this the other day.
We did.
Jokic is a big difference maker. But Murray also, come on. He was bad at defense, but it didn't matter. His offense was so good.
That's something that you said when we did our finals preview, Henry, last week. We mentioned a couple different things, and David said to me, "Yeah, but ultimately, they got this one guy, and it may not matter, right?" And all coaches have said some version of this when they have the best player, right? The one that sticks out to me famously is, I know he's not your favorite guy, David, but follow along. Gino Auriemma, when he had Diana Taurasi, people were asking him, how come? He's like, look, we got Diana and they don't, right? And it's like, well,
that says so much right there.
These guys got Jokic and the other guys don't. I mean, it sounds reductive, and it's more complicated than that. But that dude is so fucking good.
But they had him in game 2.
They did, and they still, as bad as they played, was a one-possession game with 12 seconds left, right? Like,
could have tied the game, yeah.
His abilities, and they're amazing, makes their margin for error greater than Miami's, who's just, at this point, I think, is razor thin. That's the advantage that he gets.
But is this, I mean, I guess, like, are we saying these finals are easy to predict or hard to predict, right? Like, I feel like, have we learned that Denver's better, or did they just win game 3, right?
They just won game 3, right? But we know.
I would argue that. I would argue Denver's better. Yeah. That doesn't mean they'll play better.
Right.
This is, to me, with a juxtaposition of games 2 and 3, is they're capable. I'm not saying the series is over.
Nope.
I think Denver's flat out the better team. But I know Denver too well. Like, if now you think I can be convinced that Jamal Murray will be locked in the way he was this game, that as bad as MPJ was, he did get 7 rebounds or 10 rebounds, maybe 7.
7.
He played only 21 some odd minutes, but I agree with you. They got more rebounds because Miami missed a million shots, but they absolutely were focused on that. There was no doubt of that. And they finished game 2 starting to rebound better. Just everyone go to the glass, but they chased over the screens they were supposed to chase. They didn't make nearly as many mistakes in 2 guys going to the ball or no guys going to the ball. When Miami went to blitz, basically they were kind of, I thought the announcers basically acted like there's only 2 or 3 ways to defend a ball screen. That's not true. But one thing they didn't mention is hard hedging, but Miami did blitz. And Jamal pulled it back. And then Miami started trying to take Jokic away as a pressure release guy. Denver kind of knew they had a couple turnovers, but they also got easy buckets from it. And they also attacked. They didn't shoot many threes. Denver didn't. And that's where I think Miami can make an adjustment.
And they didn't have to because they pulverized them in the paint.
64
to 20 or something like that was the score, paint score. David, you mentioned blitzing on the screens. By the way, in this game, This was the most screens that Jokic set for Murray in a game all season long. Tied for the most. 32
That was
times.
very clearly a game plan.
Obviously. They did it like 10 times in a row, I feel like, to start the game. But Miami switched like, okay, Murray's getting off. Let's blitz him, right? When they do that, I assume his safety valve is Jokic, right? Because he's the one setting the screen. But there's 3 other guys on the court, right? So what are the solves for when they blitz? How does Denver balance the court properly so there's somebody else as a release valve to get the ball to?
Well, it's when whoever's man is leaving to take Jokic away in the short roll, which is what's happening, that person has presented himself as a passing option. And that's what they did. This is middle school level basketball. I mean this. I'm not now good middle schools, I should say, not bad ones. But these are NBA guys. They do read the game. And so that they'll always read the game. They often read the game. And so Denver was well prepared for that. And we also, this is something Henry will love. I know, my friend. He's going to be very happy that I mentioned Christian Braun.
Well, we're getting
what a surprise. The youngest dude on the court who hasn't barely played looks like he's on super speed, right? But fast forward. Like jumping in passing lanes. We haven't seen that in this series.
Yeah.
All over the place, dunking on guys. He's fresh as hell. He's really not a very good player. He's not terrible. He is a rookie. But in a game of a bunch of exhausted 40-minute game night guys, athleticism matters, especially when Jokic can settle everything. So he's much better in those lineups where he can just be an athlete.
Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James, Anthony Edwards. Those are all players that Christian Braun has spent some time guarding in these postseason. Now, you would often say, Christian Braun against those dudes? Lunch meat. Not really. He has held his own on a number of possessions. And Henry, I hope you can tell this story. We were on the phone yesterday, and he told me, he's like, well, you know what's so interesting about Christian Braun? So tell us the Christian Braun story.
It's a silly thing, but last summer when I was in the P3 gym pre-draft working on the book, there are a bunch of good NBA players. Chet Holmgren, Jabari Walker,
Jalen Williams.
No, last summer.
Yeah, Jalen Williams.
Yeah, Jalen Williams. You're right. He was there. There's so many Jalen's. Oh my god. Jalen Wilson is there right now.
From Kansas. Yeah,
no, brainwashed me. But yeah, there's a bunch of good NBA players, and everyone's doing athletic stuff all the time, right? But it was a moment. And Christian Braun's working out there. Now he wears tights on the court, but he doesn't wear tights in the summer. And you can see that he has the most ridiculous quads of any human ever. Right? It's just absurd. It's a joke. And
well, I'm gonna have you check out Elijah Martin's next year from FAU. Same idea. Well, I know where you're going here. I know where you're going.
I'm just telling you, they do routine assessments of these players to see how their workouts are affecting their bodies, right? And then there was the moment for Christian Braun to do his vertex test, right, where he's testing his vertical. Yeah. And I'm just telling you, the whole gym is full of loud music and people working out, and everybody stopped. Like everyone's supposed to be doing, like, you got 10 seconds of this thing and this, rhythm thing, whatever. And the whole thing just like, everyone's just like, keep an eye on. And he does the jump, like, okay, and then everyone goes back to work.
That dude is an athlete.
He is a plus athlete, and you can see it when I watch him. It's
strong too.
Yes,
thick, strong,
very strong, very obvious when you watch him. And it's interesting because I put this in the doc, the myth of the white American basketball player. And I'm like, guys, there are super plus white athletes that play basketball. Like, there are. Like, I know that's not what we see often, but they're not just scrappy whatever dudes. Like, this guy is an athlete. And you can see how he moves his feet, how he gets up and jumps. Get this dunk. I looked at a dunk on Bam of all people. Like,
that wasn't even the most impressive attempted dunk. He got fouled in traffic and tried to dunk. Yes. And that, like, whoa. Like, that dude knows he's an athlete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, he's looking to make athletic plays.
Yeah, and he would love nothing more. Yeah.
Right.
That's his superpower. David, I thought it was interesting because he's a rookie. Malone played him, which thank God, because that bench is.
He had foul trouble. He had no choice.
Yeah. Really. Well, Reggie Jackson played 1 minute because Davis Caldwell.
Well, Reggie Jackson might have continued to play, but at the end, I think he played 2 minutes. But at the end of the quarter, Jokic was asking for the ball. When do you ever see Jokic asking for the ball? At half court. And Reggie took the half court three.
That's all for you, buddy.
Yeah, right away I said, Reggie, go to the showers now, buddy. You're done. Like, what are you doing, Reggie? You're in the game. Give the ball to the world's best player, please, when he's asking for it. He might have thrown up Jokic. Who knows what he would have done? He might have thrown another pass. Like, you never know.
Who knows?
Reggie took a terrible shot. Like, of course he would. Yeah, it's just, come on, buddy.
So Christian Brown.
Brown,
Jesus.
Well, it's their fault. They spelled it that way.
I know. Why'd you spell it like that? Christ.
Right.
If you're worried about pronunciation, don't spell it.
Right.
Exactly.
Come on. He did something interesting when Miami settled into the zone. Instead of just standing out behind the 3-point line and just waiting, spotting up, which plays into the hands of the zone, it's like, well, if I just cut, I mean, first of all, if Nikola Jokic is on the floor, why you don't always cut and move is beyond me anyway.
Well, that's first, second, and third of all. Be a cutter.
Right.
Be a cutter against man or zone. When Jokic has the ball, he's got, at least 8 eyes on him, if not 10 eyes. Move.
Yeah.
Move. And again, he's looking to make athletic plays.
Yes.
So that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And it was good to see.
He was able to definitely do work and attack the zone that way. Jokic is passing, of course. I also thought, David, often, in the zone, there's soft spots, right? People often say attack middle, right? But Miami's done things to take away the middle. Did you see something in the short corner with the way that Denver attacked Miami's zone?
I mean, my very first zone offense in 1988 was a short corner base attack against zone. I had a little guard. He's got to be 50-something years old now. His name was Roderick Jackson. He was a boxer also. And 5'8". Honestly, he took like 120 free throws in the season. He was just master at getting fouled. And he couldn't shoot outside 3 inches. And he was like 5'8". Powerfully built dude. But we just owned the short corner. So it's a very normal way to do it. And when Jokic is lifting the zone up, normally it's Aaron Gordon there. But yeah, you can go high-low or low-high. So you can go short corner and then have the big guy crash down to the rim. If the defense sucks in, you got 3-point shooters out there as well. They were organized against. They're first of all up 17 in the fourth, which is when they've been bad before. Gave them some breathing room. There was really no stress. The Mike Breen panicked and Mike Malone panicked when they cut it to 10. I sent you guys a text. I called Mike Malone a pill. The reason why I wrote that is because Miami concedes. They sent in the other guys, right? Malone keeps his guys in. What a surprise that they weren't locked in anymore. The game's over, buddy. And you were mad, and he's like, this is unbelievable. The camera was on.
When he called the timeout, yeah.
When they cut it to 10 with a minute to play, game's over. 99.98% chance you're going to win the game. But it's not unbelievable. The other team conceded. You chose to leave your guys in. They weren't locked in anymore. That's not unbelievable. That's just kind of human nature. Not to say you should have taken Jokic out. He kind of tiptoes around anyway. The other 4 guys could have been out. You'd have been just fine.
Everything was, I feel like everyone's having anxiety, right? Like,
yeah.
Like both coaches are leaving starters in super late, and then JVG's melting down about like, oh my god, like, just settle down, everybody.
To be fair, we can understand the anxiety reasons for it, right? It's the fucking finals. I may never be here again.
I understand. I understand.
That's why you need this guy to fucking rest and not get hurt.
I understand. Right, the hurt thing is my thing. I understand. You don't want to take any chance of losing. But it's not taking a chance by subbing some guys out.
Yes, agreed.
Right? The other guys know how to play.
We just talked about Christian Braun being good because he hasn't been playing.
And he didn't play in Game 4 against the Lakers. And now, it's not like these guys don't know how to. Reggie Jackson came in the game. He did just fine.
Right.
Omer Yurtseven used to start, right?
Oh, yeah. He's a good player.
Yeah, there's a bunch of players. Like
all these guys are good.
Talking about Thomas Bryant, Cody Zeller,
Kevin
Love. Like, yeah.
Let's just take 1 second. I'm not someone that normally likes to beat up the media. But we can't not say this.
Oh, here we go.
It's like a natural law that we must now beat up the media.
Because it's not just on any one person. I blame the producer as much as anything. The game's starting with the pregame, which I normally time it up where I'm putting it on for volume with the jump ball.
Failed this time, David.
Well, it's because I got out of my comfort zone. I'm been in my house watching these games for a while now. My wife's been out of the country. She's back. She had a little sister's happy hour on her call. Once a week they do with her sisters who live different places. And I'm in my office. I put the game on. It's 8:30. The tip's going to come. And I have to watch Jeff Van Gundy replay what we wrote about yesterday or Tuesday with the back-to-back curl plays with Vincent getting a 3 and then Duncan getting a layup on the white pins. But he transposed them. And I was texting with our dear friend Louisa Thomas, and she had missed it because she's smarter than me. and she asked, was it just talking about it? I said, no, they actually had production, like graphics and everything, but he got the order wrong. It was the Vincent 3, and then it was the layup. How do you fuck that up? Guys, you had 3 days. The game was Sunday.
Happens all the time, right, Henry? I mean, that's.
I don't know that happens all the time because I don't normally watch the pregame, but can we at least get the order of the plays right? I panicked and thought, oh my God, I got it wrong. And then I thought, well, whatever. It's just True Hoop. It's not ABC Finals primetime. Right? Who's going to really remember that I got it wrong except for me? And then I'll have to tell you guys, and you call me numbnuts. So that's how I felt. That's how I felt about when I was watching ABC. Fucking numbnuts. Can we get the play order right for crying out loud? It's literally listed next to the box score.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. No, there's a key producer who oh my, I don't even know if I can how to tell the story without like getting in big trouble. But but basically, like David, you and I knew a lot of like hands-on stuff about what was happening in a huddle in a locker room in a team in the playoffs when we were all ESPN, and it was like cold. We knew the information cold, like we knew it from a bunch of people. And then meanwhile, like as that team was on TV, the kind of villain of that story was working for ESPN and just told the producer that everything he did was perfect. And then that producer guy comes to me was just like, "Oh, I checked on it. Like it's everything he did was perfect." And I'm like, "So that's the end? Like that's the end of the story? Is like a multimillionaire who did a stupid thing just tells you that they didn't do a stupid thing, and so we as ESPN are just like thumbs up, buddy." Like
pretty much.
And it ended up kind of vilifying a good young player. And I was like, "This is all just it's so stupid. Like it's just so stupid." But I feel like
it bothered me that we couldn't even get that right. Nevertheless. Denver deserves a lot of credit for how they responded. No surprise, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
You actually predicted it, David. You said they 2-2 again after Phoenix. They came home in Game 5, and
they've done this before. Will they continue it? Let's see. Miami's got some adjustments to make, but Denver does too, more so than before. Jimmy Butler I'd make him try to score 40. Stop helping.
Yeah, well,
I mean, you can fake help all you want, but. Jokic is the key guy. He's struggling to finish against that size. I think he's hurt. I don't think Jimmy Butler is close to 100%.
Henry, let's go to that because you put some great stuff in the doc about Jimmy being a super monster, but he hasn't been a monster in quite some time now.
Yeah, we do this. There's this thing that we do, which is cheating, which is like if Jimmy Butler has a big game, we say that's fucking Jimmy fucking Butler, right? But it also last night was also Jimmy Butler, and like. And in fact, we could go through the lineup, but like he hasn't had a killer game since May 21st. It's June 8th today, right? And his shooting 39% from the floor over the last 6 games. Like he's not
healthy.
It's not been great.
He's not healthy or scared of Jokic or a combination for sure. Fatigue, all of it. And so, yet I still see Denver racing to bring people into the paint when he's driving. He's a very good playmaker. He reads the game beautifully. I wouldn't do that so much. I'd mix it up, but I don't know that he can finish the way they need him to finish. And if they can stay home on people, Miami's offense, which already was bad in the half court this last game, bad. Like 85 points per 100 possessions, bad, I think. Bad. B-A-D, bad capital.
He was good, Jarod? Did you like it?
Yeah. But actually, both teams, we might see a situation where Denver is allowing Butler to attack. The flip will be the way Miami needs to now try to guard Jokic and just stay home, make someone else score.
Do the whole play.
They were honoring these other shooters, and Jokic had space. That's why you can't do what Henry's describing now. Maybe they'll try it. Just let him go one-on-one. Stay home everywhere else. It's very hard to do because he's so good at scoring against these smaller guys.
But he doesn't really want to shoot it that much.
No, he doesn't. Like, that's what worked in game 2.
Yeah. I don't think he's gonna I don't know who it would be, but like I don't think he's gonna post up 30 times.
Well, he won't be posting up. He'll back down. He'll back down. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Yeah. My point stands, right? Like,
posting up is you're back to everyone.
It's so emotionally aggressive to just like possess it, and just like when Kyle Lowry was on him for a second after a switch or whatever, and Kyle's just fighting, and I'm like, I think Jokic ended up passing, I want to say. But to me, I'm like, if Kyle Lowry guarded him all game, the idea is like, oh my God, he'd score. Like, no, he just wouldn't shoot it that much. He just wouldn't. I don't believe it. I don't
Well,
think he's going to shoot that often.
What was his best game against LA? 53? 51? He did it one time, I thought.
Yeah,
was that the LA series?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a while
I don't.
ago.
Oh, yeah. But it's only been that
Or
many.
the Sun series, maybe.
It might have been. Yeah. I could see he might need one of those because if I'm Miami, that's what I'm playing for.
Yeah.
I can't solve the Murray Jokic pick and roll. Well, I can solve it. I just got to try to focus on both of those guys and let the other guys chuck away.
Well, let's get back to the Murray Jokic pick and roll because in game 2, Jimmy was much more aggressive guarding Jamal Murray. Now, if he's hurt, tired, all things that we think it's going on, well, it's hard for him to muster that kind of effort 4 consecutive times, right? To do that against Jamal Murray. So is he going to, and Jimmy said after the game, I got to be better defensively to start like on Murray. So is he going to now have that effort like he did in game 2, in game 4 against Murray? Because if they're taking away Murray now, because that was a huge part of why Miami won game 2, right? Jokic had 49 or whatever he had. Murray didn't score a ton until late when they were making that late comeback. So is that the area where they do it?
So the challenge is Miami plays a certain way to suddenly adjust and allow things to happen that normally don't allow to happen. It isn't such an easy flip to switch. They've got to be disciplined in a way that isn't normal for them. You remember I've told you the story about how Bill Belichick came in after watching the Rams win the NFC and told his Patriots team, at this point they had no Super Bowl wins. He told them, all the defense coordinators, forget everything we've done all season. That team's going to smoke us if we. This is in his book. They're going to smoke us if we play the way we always play. But they had 2 weeks to prepare a new defense. Miami doesn't quite have that. All of this is a credit to Denver. KCP is a competent shooter. MPJ has been terrible, but he's probably going to have one really good shooting game. Probably, not definitely. And he can really shoot the ball. Jamal Murray is not easy to guard at all. He is a hard guard. He's got size. He's super skilled. I watched all of his shots this morning. Only a few of them were pretty good shots. He is a terrific, tough shot maker. Like an example, he came downhill going left. Here came Gabe Vincent sliding in to take a charge against the floater. And Jamal, at the last second, just veered a little bit off of him, still threw it in off the glass. I texted all my NBA guards. Like, that is smart, but that requires a lot of practice because they're normally going to miss that shot because you're not going straight line, you're going sideways. But he wanted to avoid the charge. He made some big threes in the first half when the team was struggling. His problem is he can get sticky with the ball. We've talked about this, Jarod. He can get sticky with it. I thought he was really good last night. He just kept, in fact, not only was he really good, keeping the ball, throwing the ball at Jokic, it was like watching Will Ferrell in semi-pro. Ball goes in, ball goes out, ball goes in, ball goes out. But their interior passing as a team was terrific.
Yes, they were.
Remember that Aaron Gordon had a baseline drive, got in trouble, and then found Jamal Murray next to the rim for a layup. Like, they were crisp inside. They didn't have that many turnovers for a team that threw as many passes as they threw. Miami had no turnovers almost, but Denver didn't have many.
No.
That was well executed offense, which we expect to see from Denver.
Yes. He has a snake ability, not only with the ball, but when he gets off the ball, just finding these Murray, I'm talking about these little cracks and crevices. And I'm like, oh, look. It's like, we talk about Steph Curry's movement off ball and all that. Like, I'm not saying Murray's that good, but like he does some pretty nifty stuff when he's off the ball with his movement. And again, as you mentioned, that just makes him really tough to guard.
And his ball handling is very good too. I sent one clip of a ball handling move he made where he kind of lost it and recovered it quickly. That's something I learned when I first watched Allen Iverson in college. He was trying out for a Team USA under 21 team, and back then it was called the World University Games. And he was not a great ball handler, but holy cow, was he good at recovering. So he would kind of mishandle it, but he'd get it back. So it didn't matter. And he beat you the next time. Jamal had one missed dribble last night. He got it back so quickly and scored. It's very, very hard to do. He's a crazy skilled 6'5" guard.
Yeah,
crazy skilled.
For sure.
Yeah.
David, again here, Henry, is there a way you can get David's voice out of your head when you're watching basketball? Do you know of any?
Very difficult.
I feel like it's very difficult, right? Yeah. This is kind of where I'm at now.
What I do now.
Well, watching a game, of course, everybody knows that David does player development, right? He helps NBA players and players all across the world in basketball get better at the game. And one of the things I hear you say is give the shot a chance of going in. All right, when
Yeah.
you're teaching shooting.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me Nikola Jokic's
Oh, my
feathery
God.
touch? Because look, I've watched enough basketball. I've played enough basketball. There are people who you play with or you see, and you just know if it's not perfectly shot, it has no chance. Because if it touches the rim, it's gonna clank, fall out, just whatever. Just because that's just how it goes. Because they don't know what they're doing, or that's just how they shoot. But this dude, if it's on the rim, I'm like, oh, it's going in.
75% plus is probably going in. Yeah, it is amazing. Well, so first of all, go out and play pickup with your friends on a 9-foot basket. You'll make so many more shots around the rim probably. The ball's not traveling as far. He has a foot advantage. Right? He's 7 feet out of 10. So it's unfair. It's just so easy for them. But he also is super gifted with his touch. He doesn't tend to miss too short. Too short is always going to miss. He gives it a chance. He throws it up there. I tell my players, I was with 3 different guys yesterday. One's in the NBA, one's going to be in the NBA in 2 years, one's going to be in the NBA next year. So 3 very good players. And every time they miss super short, I always said long and strong, long and strong. When they missed long, I clapped every single time. I wasn't running the workout, I was watching. But every time they miss long, great job. That's how you want to miss. You give it a chance. And he's something else, guys. He does. Remember Bill Cartwright's shot?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Very
so
funny.
Jokic brings that ball way behind his head. You can't get to it. It's whoever taught him did it the right way. Because if he shoots in front of his face more, it's a much easier shot to contest. Those guys with size, and maybe it's because he was too small when he was younger, I don't know. It's the hack that you should be. It's the cheat code you should be teaching big guys. Bring it behind you a little bit. The guy in front of you has no shot, especially when you're 3 inches taller, like he is versus Bam. But then he has touch on it from there. It's big. It's spectacular. It really is.
It just lands so soft on the rim, right, Henry? You're like, it's almost like it slows down when it gets on the rim, as opposed to careening off.
It does.
And that's like, look, physics are real. I really don't understand this, right? It's if it's going to travel on that path through the air, it has that amount of force that's super measurable, right? Like, not like someone can send it gently on that path.
Right.
That's not a thing. It goes exactly like we could measure this, right? So then it has spin. Maybe there's some like kind of air current effect, right? Like I know that like if you like the ball in the baseball, obviously goes up and down.
The spin matters when it hits the rim. It grabs the rim.
So there's a little bit of this, right?
Yeah.
But like, what the fuck? Why did his glue to the rim? And everybody else? And you know what? Also, I was thinking about was like, 20 years ago in the NBA, the big crisis gripping the league was Shaquille O'Neal's free throws. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of like, oh, well, that ball in his hand is like a little
golf ball or whatever. Yeah,
like it just can't operate that way. It's like, well, this hand can. This hand can.
I wonder on the question of hand. The hand thickness matters also. It does.
Go on. What
are
you talking about, David?
Yeah,
I've never thought about this in my life.
When you're too clubby of hands, may help you catch it great, but it doesn't feel great on the ball. Just try shooting like with an orange or something. It does make a difference. It is all fixable. It's all fixable.
What is hand thickness? What are you even talking about?
So,
like how wide it is, or how?
No.
Yeah.
So like
on it, right?
Yeah. So think of a big fat piece of bread versus a thin piece of bread. Same idea. Yeah.
So you're saying Shaq has fat hands?
I'm guessing. Yeah. I'm guessing it's different, or the opposite. I don't really know.
Yeah. But canned hams out there,
right here. Listen, I have shaken some players' hands. I have big hands. I could pop a basketball no problem when I was 17. I have just been engulfed. And sometimes it hurts. Maybe now it didn't hurt when I was younger. I'm an old man now. It hurts now. But I'm going to give you something that if you haven't seen before, you'll never be able to unsee now. And a good thing, not a bad way. Not like big fat hands. Jokic had 20 rebounds, 21. How many rebounds?
20.
Was it 20? Mm-hmm. He probably had 7 or 8 tip rebounds to a teammate. Mm-hmm. I teach this. It's 21. Very hard to do. If you can't get it, don't let the other motherfuckers get it. If you can, that's number one. Don't let them get it. He's taking another step further. No. Yes. I'm going to make sure we get it. Yep. So he keeps his guy off the glass with his body, and then just knocks it away. It's like an outlet pass. Mm-hmm. It's why his plus minus are so amazing over the course of a season. He's doing all these kind of little things that don't show up in a box score, right? Those don't count as rebounds for him. Yeah. The other guy gets the rebound, but he tips it right to him.
I wonder. That's something we should do, Henry, for the next game. Watch how many tipped rebounds, not to himself, but to his teammates he gets.
Oh, I bet it was at least 5 last night, if not 7 or 8.
He is incredible, man.
He's really. And the other thing too. This is to Henry's question about Bam and everything. Jokic also has that disposition to dominate. He just does it differently than Shaq.
Mhm.
But if you want to try, I know you're not suggesting Kyle Lowry. First of all, Lowry would foul out fast. But you're not wrong, Henry, at all. They've got to try other guys.
Handsy.
Yeah. Well, Miami does a great job of using their hands and arms on the point of attack and in passing lanes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just casually make a pass against them. There's a teaching point there. They are trying to occupy the attention of the passer, distract, contest, deflect, or steal. That is definitely a mindset for them, as it should be, by the way, for any good defensive team. And probably all stress it. They listen to Spo. But Jokic against those other guys, he goes exactly where he wants to go normally. It's a little different in zone. But we've said this before, he's the iceberg. Most of what he's doing, you don't really see. It's under the surface. And part of that is getting position. There's one play where Gabe Vincent was denying him. And Jokic kind of stood a funny way, I'm telling you guys. I'll send it to you on clip, and I'll send it to WhatsApp. He just kind of occupies this guy. He doesn't look like he's open. Oh, he's open. And he knows his teammate sees it too. So he literally, though, he gets in position. He looks around like, is this going to work? And you see him say, oh, yeah, it's going to work. This is so great. And they throw it to a boop, 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 score or whatever. Like, he's really cheat code in many different ways that should be instructive as to when we're evaluating players going forward. Because I've said this. How does this guy drop? It's inexcusable. By the way, he looks so fit, doesn't he? I really looked at this. What'd you say? Yeah, for sure. He looks thin. You're exactly right. And but he's constant movement, never too fast, but definitely constant movement. But there is a TikTok. I don't get a TikTok, but Instagram probably someone made for TikTok of two dudes on a 9-foot basket, and they're pretending to be Murray and Jokic.
That guy's the best. He does everybody in the league. He's so good.
But if you see the one when he does Jokic after he scores, the way he runs back, it's the least athletic movement of all time. Other than I once saw Brad Miller chase down a loose ball down the court, and someone put it to like a Yakety Sax video, and it was the real slow. This ball was not rolling fast, and he could never catch it. And I'm so angry I can't find it. It's the single funniest video I ever saw in basketball. But Jokic running is not a pretty sight, but it works for him. It's like Cliff Young doing the ultra marathon. Remember the Cliff Young story, Henry? Yeah, the guy that ran the ultra marathon. He runs like Cliff Young. Yeah,
he fell down. Jokic fell down last night, and which doesn't happen.
Oh yeah.
For a second, I was like, "Oh God!" Okay. That machine, he's not built for that.
No.
Embiid falls all the time. Jokic never falls.
Yeah.
No. It was
icebergs don't fall. Yeah.
Right.
So many funny things just happen.
Like a wobble.
Those guys the guy that does the impersonation, and he does every star player in the NBA. Like if it's a duo, he'll get like buddies to help him out. Like it's the funniest thing. My man, I'm sure you're making a ton of money on Instagram and TikTok doing that because it's funny as shit.
The Jokic one just killed me.
Hand sizes, Henry. This is a thing. So the two athletes that I've met in person. Well, I met lots of athletes in person, but the two that have like crushed my hands upon shaking them.
Wait, let me guess. Michael Phelps?
No.
Oh,
you would think swimmer would be one of them. No swimmers.
No swimmers.
Adrian Peterson was the first one.
Really?
Oh my god, like fucking like brick hands.
Yeah.
And Kawhi Leonard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Everest told me that. Yeah,
I was just like, guys, you got big mitts. You got big mitts.
The big hand story. I think David told me the story. In fact, I'm sure he did. But years ago, like
Clyde Frazier with the line.
Yeah, like literally bled on your forearm from your fingertips slapping it on the follow through.
Clyde's follow through, probably his nails too.
Bloody patch on your foot. Think about that. Yeah. Try to get your follow through so that your fingertips slap your forearm. You're not gonna.
No, fingers aren't long enough. You're not.
Yeah. I was so
7 inches shy.
Yeah. I was so happy to know that someone invented the fist bump because I like shaking hands just fine. But the people who's just hurt me, I just fist bump.
Now it's just fist bump with these guys. I'm like, no, your hands are too big, can't do it. These guys are giants. Henry, you wanted to mention something about Christian Braun beyond the P3 thing and what he's doing on the floor, and we didn't get a chance to talk about it.
Oh, that's very thoughtful of you.
Listen, I want to make sure we get all.
Yeah. This is just a small dumb thing, but like, it occurs to me watching him. David, I think, said something complimentary, like he's not a very good player. Maybe earlier in this podcast.
He definitely said that.
No. As a he's a rookie. As a rookie, he's doing great.
Just referencing that. That's all.
Yeah. But not a great player yet.
But it really struck me like your worst option on the floor can do stuff with the ball, then you're in a very good position, right? Because the defense is the defense. We talk about we obsessed about what's going to happen with this pick and roll, right? Like, well, the defense is going to basically guide the ball to this guy, and if he's bouncy and wants to cram it down your throat, like or whatever his thing, if he has some Pat Connaughton game, right? Some kind of like fifth option attack, like these are the options that are available, right? That's the most available. And I just think that's like it matters who your worst player on the floor is, right?
For sure.
A lot of teams have. I mean, when Jermaine O'Neal was a rookie, the Blazers made the playoffs, and Mike Dunleavy didn't want to play him, but somebody was hurt, and so we had to. So we literally had Jermaine O'Neal just stand away from all basketball. It was super embarrassing, especially considering what Jermaine O'Neal became. Right, he became it was like
really good player,
all NBA player,
and it
really good.
It totally didn't work. The Blazers lost that game in that series, and it was just so embarrassing. But I was like, this is Christian Braun's the opposite of that, right? It's like no. Fully activated, right? He might not have the pre-draft workouts that a lot of these elite scorers had, but guess what? He can catch it, and he can dribble it, and he can get fouled or dunk it or whatever. Like,
well, it helps that there's such a nuanced game going on here.
Yeah,
he was very bad this season.
Yeah,
I don't remember his plus minus, but I'm going to guess on Basketball Reference his on off was around 9. I looked up all the rookies. Because the only rookie I think that a positive one was Walker Kessler. Paolo was awful. Yeah. Meaning the team was way better when he was off. But it's been a whole season, and he's got a very strict role, and the Heat are not worried about him at all. And if he was not willing to be a cutter, he'd be unplayable.
DOA.
But he loves it. He's looking to cut. He's looking to make athletic plays, and he is very powerful and very athletic.
You want to guess what percentile he ranked in an estimated plus minus this season?
Christian Braun? All those rookies are.
I just know on Basketball Reference he was minus
close 17th.
17th.
Yeah. He was -4 in EPM.
Right. But he definitely is not that player now in this series. And I'm really glad Mike played him.
But it's what you talked about, David. Scoring is one way to impact winning basketball. Yeah. There are a million other things you can do to help your team impact winning. And this leads us into, of course, because it's a quasi Denver Nuggets / Memphis Grizzlies / all my favorite players podcast, we must discuss the unevenness of Michael Porter Jr.
Unevenness.
Well, because here's the thing.
He had 7 rebounds?
Well, no. In the first in the first half, first 2 quarters, he was terrible on everything. Third quarter, he actually fought over screens, right? Actually tried, gave effort. I'm like, well, how come you can only do this in like 4-minute bursts? Why can't you do this all the time?
Only a parent has this level of
I'm just
and he's sweeping together the scraps of like he went out there for 20-something games, 21 minutes, and laid the biggest egg in finals history. And he fought over a screen in the third quarter.
Multiple screens, not just one.
He was heroically dog shit.
I'm just saying, Jarod, if Darth Vader gave you a lollipop, he's still fucking Darth Vader. Okay,
but depends on what kind of lollipop.
I knew you were gonna say that.
2 points, 1 for 5. From
he
two,
was just.
Well, he's not shooting well, but he's big. Like you can do things to impact winning. For
sure, I thought he was better. I agree with you.
He was awful in game 2. Oh my god.
Yeah, he chased over the screen a couple of times. He only played 21 minutes for a reason. Now we can argue that Panicky Malone is saying, "Look, I'm holding him accountable." And it's fucking with his head. And I'm not even mad at Mike.
Shoot 30 times. He probably should tell him to just let it fly.
You might just say, well, live with you. I don't listen. Who are we to say
this game doesn't predict how you shoot. It's just not useful. Like he's a 41.5% 3-point shooter. Like, you should tell him to fucking shoot. Like
I don't think it's the shooting that's the problem. I think it's his other shit that Mike's upset about, and now he's in his feelings.
Yeah.
Which human beings can get into.
Yeah.
And Jokic included, by the way. He's gotten so much better. I actually think, and no one's going to write this, and I'm certainly not going to write because I'm not an expert, but I really think losing weight has helped his overall emotional IQ. He's just, it's hard to get under his skin now. And I just think he feels better. He's healthier. He's really in a special place right now. He does it differently than Giannis, who's Terminator, but it's the same result. Like he reminds me of Giannis when they were down 2-0 and Giannis like, fuck it. I am just going nonstop, and they won 4 straight.
So game 1, Michael Malone trashes unnamed starters in the national media during the game, right?
Michael Porter Jr.
And now Michael Porter Jr. is like
Bad.
looks like his soul's been ripped from him,
Yeah.
right? Like those things might be related.
That's
Well,
not
so-
lifting him up.
Well,
Yeah.
so this is beyond the fact that Michael Porter Jr. is my basketball love language, right? Like
This is gonna hurt, Jarod.
I think we need to go
Next
see.
segment's gonna hurt.
I think we need to go see a marriage therapist, Jarod.
Yeah.
There's better fish in the sea, buddy.
Listen, I already know that. He's not my favorite player. You already know who my favorite players are. It's fine. But here's where it matters. He, because of the contract he has, is the third most important player on the Denver Nuggets roster. Actually, he's going to be the second most because, Henry, I think you put in our lovely document, next year he's going to make more money than Jamal Murray.
I actually put that in all caps. Yeah.
So we have a situation here, right? Malone.
He'll be on a different team, maybe.
Well, something's right because you can't do this and expect to, like, as you always say, leadership is breathing spirit into the hearts of. I don't see a lot of spirit breathing. Like I don't see a guy who looks like spirit is being breathed into him. And if that's the case, with him making this much money, you still might win the finals regardless. Which that's the brilliance of Jokic and Murray. But you got to do something here.
It's a great point, and there's an opportunity for Denver here to have MPJ spend the best 3 days of his life coming up here. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're gonna make it a love affair with you again. We're gonna get you feeling great. I thought Mike, I would say, dude,
There's no way they're doing that. It's a good. You're right. Like that's. You're right. That would be.
I'd say you're playing. If we're losing. You're shooting 25 shots, 11, 12 threes, 36 minutes. We're going with you. Like I believe in you that much. You can always change your mind, if he's struggling. But just get him believing because it's not going to be easy to solve Jokic Murray, and he's the guy that's going to be open a lot. Yeah, I really think Spo doesn't have many options. I mean, you just gave up 30-point triple doubles to two players. We're always praising Spo. And there's no easy answers.
Yeah.
There's no easy answers. But what's going to happen is other people are going to be wide ass open.
This is the special, to me, this is like an unbelievably valuable little chunk of NBA real estate, right? Yeah. Jokic and Murray's happening over here. Right here is opportunity, right? And if Caleb Martin makes $6 million compared to MPJ's.
Is that what he makes, $6 million?
Yeah. Like, to me, like, if you just swap, like if I ran the Nuggets, I'd be asking, why can't we just develop a $6 million guy who can take advantage of this space, right? Like, and I just looked around, like, David, you would know way more than me, but there's so many. Like, I just basically looked up small forwards who are halfway decent at defense, right? And like, I figure, like, with this space, we just talking about Christian Braun, who's just been willing to cut, and there are buckets to be had in this role, right? Like, well, this one's a little tricky, right? This position has to shoot threes and probably, whatever you. Tell me, but like,
right, you can't be Christian Braun and cut without guys like MPJ spacing, right?
Yeah. So
right.
Someone needs to be able to shoot, but there's all of these, like, like halfway decent small forwards who might be available, who make less. Stanley Johnson, Trey Murphy, Najee Marshall, Cam Reddish, Terrence Davis, Denny Avdia, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield's make more, but
OG Anunoby.
OG Anunoby.
He makes less than MPJ.
Yeah, so part of me is like, I don't you feel like there are 100 players in the NBA who could make more of that little bit of space that MPJ gets from playing with such a good
with Jokic and Murray?
Yeah,
with Jokic especially. Yeah, I think he's overpaid because of what he doesn't bring to the table, and they're paying him for what he does, and I don't think it's worth what they're paying him. I'm not alone in thinking that.
No.
Yeah, he's a specialist.
And he's the longest. His contract is the longest on the Nuggets.
Yeah.
It goes through 2026, 27. Like
this was a Connolly thing, right? Booth didn't do this extension. This is Connolly's extension, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he didn't do it last year, did he?
No, I think it was 2 years ago.
I mean, he didn't do this later. I think so too. I'm not Hollinger. Hollinger would know.
So being that we think Calvin Booth might be like, you know what? I think it's time to move this guy out of here.
I think the argument would be, what Henry's saying is right. MPJ will be happier as the second option, and you got to find one sucker. You got to find Charlotte, some team who's dumb as hell, to think, oh, he'll be great as our second option, and here's what we'll trade for him.
So there's some huge expiring contracts around, which I think are interesting. Gordon Hayward is one of them in Charlotte.
That's why I said Charlotte.
Yeah, Tobias Harris.
In Philly
is in his last year. He makes a little more, but to me, actually, Tobias Harris would be fucking really good on this team, right? I don't know. Can you play him with Aaron Gordon? Is that doable?
Sure.
What's also Tobias Harris?
Yeah.
6'8", 7', 8"?
6'8".
He's
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah.
He's good. He's a good player. He's older now.
So if you could get your Caleb Martin, your youngster somehow on the roster, then you have Tobias Harris for a year, and then you hand it off to Caleb Dose.
And that expires, so that's cap money that you get relief from.
Yeah,
now,
then
right?
you're
So
in so much
38
better
million
shape.
or whatever the money is. Yeah.
I don't see Daryl. Daryl's running Philly. I don't see him bringing that gigantic contract in there for all those years.
Of course, you're
Right. Someone else will.
Someone will.
Someone will. He won't, but someone will. Yeah. Like I said, Charlotte. The idea of LaMelo Ball and MPJ is going to get them all excited. Mitch Kupchak is excited right now.
That's already a disaster waiting to happen. Henry,
that
minutes
would suck. Oh my! If that's your plan, I mean, if you have them with other good players, fine. But if that's your core,
disaster.
I'm just saying. I had a player. I spoke to a player in the draft. He's worked out for a lot of teams, and he worked out for Sean. It went well. And I said, "What'd you think of? How was there?" And he's like, "It just didn't seem like it's the same as every other team was." I'm like, "That's because it's not."
Not a
Maybe one day it'll
shop.
change.
Wait,
maybe one day it'll change.
Kings? Are they the new? Did they slot into your?
They might be the new Kings.
Yeah. They might be worse than the old Kings.
They might be.
They're pretty bad. They're messed up.
They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
Henry, minutes is something that we've been talking about a lot these postseason. By the way, do you know that Jason Tatum is still leading in total minutes? Still.
Oh my God.
He is still leading in total minutes.
Well, they've only played 3 more games.
I know, but still, I'm like, damn.
And Denver had a 5-game series.
You played a lot of minutes, Jason Tatum.
It isn't. Yeah, it is. It is eyebrow raising. You're right.
But the minutes are starting to pile up. And we talked about this at the top of the show. The game is already over, but panicky Michael Malone kept his 2 guys in there. Minutes are adding up, Henry. What are we seeing on the minutes portion for the important? Well, everyone's important, but the stars in this series.
Given 3 days rest before the next game.
Well, they play Friday, so no.
Wait a second. I missed that.
Yeah, they play Friday.
Holy cow!
Yeah,
you're
they
right.
play Friday.
Like, that ruins your whole 3-day love affair with MPJ. We got to cancel the trip to Disneyland. Everything.
It's only having a 1 day. It's only a 1 day.
They're gonna have to do a. They're gonna have to do a sunset cruise.
Yeah,
it's a 1 day love affair. How do you feel about the Gulf of Mexico?
I don't know why I missed that. Yeah, of course it's just 1 day off. Yeah.
Unless you want to give him the game off, like I could be. Maybe that's better.
Henry's like, just don't even play him.
Yeah. He's he's at Disney World. So before the series started, we were talking about Tyler Hero coming back. David was an absolute wizard and said they said game 3, and he was like, it won't be game 3. And kudos to David there.
Not game 3.
But now we find ourselves with Tyler Hero lurking again. I don't know if we expect him what we expect now, but right now Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic lead the series in minutes, and then Bam, and Jimmy's after that, and Aaron Gordon. But we could still have this thing where Tyler comes back, mops up a bunch of minutes, and it's the Nuggets who end up tired. Games 5, 6, 7, if the Heat, can keep it going that long.
We wrote this.
Yeah, we did.
It's
on track.
Yeah, right.
It's on track. So yeah, I don't know. To me, like, I think about Greg Popovich, who had, have never had Murray and Jokic in the game with, like, I think it was like 1 minute left when he took them out, maybe. Like
less than that, 40 some odd seconds.
40 some odd seconds, right? Like, I don't know.
They were up 10 with a minute and a half to play, but in the minutes to go in the fourth quarter, they were 99%. They were 96+% in the third quarter to win.
Yeah,
probably GameCast probability.
I would have. I mean, I said this today. Like, I would.
You could have subbed him more then.
Jimmy for all of game 1. Coming off game 7 in the flight, blah blah blah. Like, I just feel like we're looking at, like, Christian Braun is the proof that we're watching players at 80%, 70% of their athleticism, right? Because this guy looks like Superman, and he's athletic. He is, but also Jimmy's not moving like Jimmy, and at times Jamal's not moving like Jamal, and you see these kind of like shuffling when they might have been leaping.
Well, it seems like once a year in the playoffs, there's always a question of that. And we'd say that, right, Henry? It's like, probably sit that guy for this game, and then, because you're probably going to lose that game anyway. Or there's the Christian Braun effect, and then you have them healthy now or rested for the next game. We started it, 3 years ago in the Brooklyn-Milwaukee series. They're like, all right, 3-2 or 3-3, sit Kevin Durant, or 3-2, sit Kevin Durant in game 6. Don't even play him. Yeah. Play 48 minutes, sit him in game 6, play him in game 7. We know what happened there. What was it this year? It was an earlier someone that should have sat, not Jimmy.
But either way, they're not going to sit now going to game 4.
No one's going to sit for anything.
But are they going to play 48 minutes? Mike Malone might feel like we go up 3-1, the series is ours, and I get it. And so he might play. They played 42, 44 minutes. I could see them playing 46, 48, feeling like we'll go home and we're fine on Sunday. And he may not be fine. But Miami can win Game 5 no matter what happens in Game 4.
Keeping in mind, we're every other day now, right? So it's Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Yeah. So that's,
And then Tuesday or Wednesday after that?
And then Tuesday, because they play again Thursday. Thursday would be Game 6. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's every other night straight through.
So, I think that, look, at this stage, everyone's exhausted, all the things. But if it's, increases your chance of winning by 5% to get, maybe you do that.
Even 0.5%.
Whatever it is. Well, because
it gets to be a bigger advantage, right? Like the more run down the Nuggets are, the more valuable it is, the more space you can generate by being fresh if you're the Heat or vice versa, right? I would argue it's not perfect now, obviously, but if either team sat a star for the next game, I think their odds of winning the following games would go significantly up.
Yes, I would agree with that 100%. Henry, you wrote something in the doc, and the broadcasters also mentioned it, and we wanted David to talk about it. The benefits of a player like Duncan Robinson expanding his game. So he runs off curls and screens and spots up and shoots, but when people run him off the line now, he can put the ball on the floor. He can actually pass out of that as well. So what are sort of the evolution and the advantages of a player when they can do that and add that piece to their game?
Yeah, I don't know that he wasn't able to do it before. I have not studied it. I don't. The fact that the announcers said it means nothing to me. It's just because they don't pay attention. They haven't watched Miami play since probably the finals in the bubble, and I'm not sure. And they were, I think, they were there. So, just you add another weapon to your arsenal. So we train this every day. You don't just shoot threes. Yesterday was a shooting day. Wednesdays are shooting days for my gyms. So that means catch, shoot, shot fake, side dribble, shot fake, one dribble, shot fake, one dribble floater, one dribble jumper, right? Dribbling to 2 feet, shot fake, freeze fake shot, that kind of thing. Because we have to counter the tight closeout or the flyby, right? Flyby is shot fake, side dribble, or attack if you want. And it just makes you harder to guard. Because if they just have to close you out fast with no worry of you driving, it's much easier for the defensive player to do. And you can't take advantage of that. So again, I believe he's gotten better as a passer. I think part of it's just being pounded on the idea that we've got to get off the ball when a second guy's coming. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure he ever was unwilling to do that before. His story's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, but it doesn't matter what he could have done then. He didn't.
I don't know if he didn't. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Well, but
I know the announcer is saying he didn't do it. I don't know what the truth is on the passing.
Okay, but I guess
I don't remember.
Nevertheless, I guess, and absent the 1-1 interaction, right? It's like the 5-on-5 interaction, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like this is some players earn minutes by being able to play defense, and then you try to be as good on offense as you can, right? He's a player who earned minutes by being able to shoot, right? Like that's
off the move.
Yeah, this is why he's on the court. So to me, okay, he's getting some minutes from that years ago, right? But this is a little bit different, right? And this is which has implications for a lot more than just how he beats his man.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, I'm not arguing with you at all. I'm just saying I don't remember what he was like as a passer before. It seems I'd be surprised if he wasn't able to do it some, because then it's easier to guard. But there's no question. Well, first of all, I used to call running off screens Reggie Miller's. Mm-hmm. Let's do some Reggie Miller stuff today. Now I call it. I probably should have called it JJ Redick, but I've been calling it Duncan Robinson for a couple of years, 3 years now. This is called when he first burst on the scene, because he was doing like Bellinelli stuff and Redick stuff at 6'8". He's bigger than those guys.
He's very tall.
And he's amazing at it. So now I call him Duncan Robinson's. And so it's not just catch and shoot; it's on the move, which is different than standing still. But yeah, you want to be able to turn the corner and score and read the game. Mm-hmm. And he seems to be. I think he's a good basketball player. I don't know why he fell out of favor. I always assumed it was defense. Not that Tyler Hero was so good at it, but I just figured he's just not doing defensively. But he's been good.
To Henry's point, he was struggling shooting the ball for a large part of this year, and he's on
then
the
you
floor
can't
for
play
shooting. We're right, because then
you can't play.
What are you doing if you're not making shots, right?
Yeah.
So
he's probably better now. I mean, not to be just stuck on this minutes thing, but he's probably better now because he got a lot of rest this year.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, quick. What do you think, David? Game 4. Do you expect the Heat to obviously come with better effort? What are some quick adjustments you see Miami potentially making for Game 4?
I think, the effort last night was fine. I think they just didn't play very well. I don't know if they'll play better in Game 4 or not. I think defensively, they're going to have to figure out on. I think they're just going to have to shrink everything on Murray, Jokic, and if they lose, they can always adjust. But in the first half, let's just try to. Sometimes you want to solve pick and roll with 2 players, not this team. You may want to solve it with 5 and force KCP to have a big game. And
Aaron
the other
Gordon
guys,
and
all of
MPJ.
them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing. Maybe they'll try some things Henry talked about with who they guard on Jokic. They already have tried some. A lot of different guys to guard him. Play more zone early on and not hold it as much as sometimes they do, which they did last night some. Offensively, they did the same thing in Game 6 against Boston, where they over-penetrated in the first box and couldn't finish. Mm-hmm. Let's just let it fly, guys. Stop. If you have an angle to the rim, take it. If you don't, just stop and pop. And let's just take open shots and not just paint shots. Take open shots. And let's just see if we can't bust the game open that way.
And we've talked about it. When you are the underdog team like Miami is, you've got to make a lot of threes, right? That's a big part of pulling off the upset. And
helps
a lot. And so, they've got to, I've been talking about this all playoffs. Miami is sort of like 3-point variance and how crazy it's been, right? Like they had another game last night where they were, kind of back around what they shot in the regular season, right? Like we'll see if that shifts up to 50% or 40 in Game 4. Real quick before we go, as most of you know, we have 10 million acres of forests burning for weeks at a time in Canada, and it's causing horrendous air pollution, of course, all across Canada. There are a lot of states in the north. There's carbon monoxide everywhere. Air filters are an important thing to have. Henry has a story he wants to share.
You're very kind. I put that in the document. I'm like, I put that in last night. So you've probably seen in the pandemic, like people in labs did some tests of like you couldn't buy an air filter, right? Mm-hmm. But if you put the filter that goes in like your whole house mm-hmm. air filter, mm-hmm. if you buy those and put them between box fans in a chain, it actually is very effective at filtering the air. Mm-hmm. And that was like a piece of knowledge I had from probably Dana Smith or something, right? Something years ago. And so then yesterday I was at Costco and they had those exact air filters, which are pretty surprisingly expensive, on sale. And so I did it right here in the room that I'm in. There's like this, it's off right now because it's very loud, but like, is this like big bootlegged air filter thing? And I'm like so proud of it and running, like I'm saving my family's life. And it does actually, to be honest, like the air in here is much better because of it. Good. And it costs $15 or whatever. But after I put it in the document this morning, a bunch of teenagers were over here like scooping up my son before they went to school. And know-it-all little jerk is basically telling me how the parts per million of forest fire smoke is not affected by this and blah, blah, blah. And I literally just ripped him a new one. I was like, don't come in here criticizing my air filter, all right? Like this is my proudest accomplishment.
Know-it-all.
So I actually have no idea what's helping anything, all right? But it makes me feel good, and that's worth something, I guess.
I love it. And what we do know is that these horrible billionaires and their consistent investing in fossil fuels to make themselves more billions is literally causing the planet to burn alive, because that is what's happening right now. The world is on fire, folks. Anyway.
That's a good happy ending.
Yeah, have a great weekend. By the time we talk to you on Monday, Game 5, 3-2, series could be, I don't know. A lot of different things can happen. So we'll see. Take care.